Hello and welcome to Universe Mode. This is NXT live once more from Full Sail University in Orlando, Florida. Tonight, once more, the NXT general managers have put together one huge card for us on the road to NXT TakeOver Brooklyn with our main event. The not very well getting together would be the very nice way of putting it. D.C.C of Chris Sabin and Corin will go up against the two men who fought each other last week for the NXT Championship, Hiroshi Tanahashi and the NXT Champion Kazuchika Okada, but that's later on tonight. Starting off tonight, we're going to be hearing from my brother, one half of the NXT General Managers, the living legend Larry Zybysko. Will break some news regarding what we're going to be seeing at TakeOver and what is going to take place at TakeOver as well. My brother telling me big news is about to happen and nothing more, keeping us all in the dark, which is going to be a very interesting one. But as this episode of NXT gets underway, I am his brother, the ECW General Manager, Larry Zybysko, joined for the first time ever on NXT by the Raw General Manager, Daro Ronaldo.
Hello, that is me, Raw General Manager guy, Daro Ronaldo.
So this is your first taste of seeing the future.
Yeah, record-setting, first ever.
Well, this is actually the first time we've seen Zybysko as well. Since he's taken over that co-general manager's shot, and we can't even catch a break, and he's already dropping some big news for us. Nikki Cross wanted competition. She said so last week. She wanted the best of the best, and she's getting 3 opponents at TakeOver. I like that.
Wow.
I like that already. And now we hit the heavy hitting part. Sabin, Corin, this has been something that has taken the limelight of NXT more so than anything. The problems between the leader of the D.C.C and his protege continuing on week in and week out. Last week, the week before, proved it. Oh boy. I hope TakeOver. I hope Brooklyn is actually ready for that. That is jaw-dropping news to kick things off on NXT. As I just said, the leader and the protege, the two of the biggest forces in NXT, will collide at Brooklyn. The winner goes right into that main event later on in that night.
Wow, that's something, but what is a Corin exactly?
You'll be seeing him later on tonight, and I'm going to need to explain him. It's something that words, in a way, cannot define. But there is your groundbreaking news. Been wondering when this match would happen. Been wondering if these two would ever collide in the ring. And Larry Zybysko just made that transpire. Corin and Sabin at TakeOver Brooklyn. The winner goes on and faces Tanahashi and NXT Champion Okada later on in the night for the NXT Championship. Can you see why we say NXT is a big brand now? Why it deserves to be taken seriously?
Yeah, I wasn't expecting this sort of storyline, this sort of deal when I came in here today.
Well, I mean, I would also like to explain what a Corin is, but apparently we're getting the 3 women who are going to fight Nikki Cross at TakeOver right away.
Alright, what is a Mickie James? Because I know she's not on Raw.
She's a women's wrestler. You ignorant buffoon.
Well, I mean, I'm not familiar with the brand. I gotta ask around, you know what I mean?
You took The Undertaker from this roster. How do you not know?
The Undertaker came from this roster. I did not.
No, you took him.
Maybe.
Well, I mean, what, he just decided to fly his wings like a little butterfly and just flop on over the Raw? Yeah. Okay.
What? That's what Jinder Mahal did. So I don't.
Jinder Mahal wasn't on NXT. Giving some awful examples right now. Well, there's one woman in Mickie James in the ring.
Oh.
And here comes the second woman who has collided with Nikki Cross in the past. First TakeOver comes to mind when they fought for the right to become the first ever NXT Women's Champion. Ember Moon will go to Brooklyn as well.
Alright. But that begs the question from Daro Ronaldo. What is an Ember Moon?
An Ember Moon is a woman's wrestler.
Insightful.
She is. I mean, well, so far the two women we've seen in their own right are very talented. Ember Moon has had some. Well, she's had some problems with Nikki Cross, is the best way of putting it. They've collided twice, maybe, in the ring, and on both occasions, it was Nikki Cross who came out the winner over Ember Moon. So there's got to be that little bit of underlying frustration to Ember Moon. She's not been able to get the job done over Nikki Cross. She's not been able to become NXT Women's Champion. But maybe, just maybe, Brooklyn can change that all around.
Perhaps. Not going to count it out.
I mean, hey, it's like over on Raw. Fatal 4-way. The odds are completely different.
Yeah, it would be easy to say each person has a 25% chance of winning, but I mean, it's really kind of unknown.
It is a total unknown.
Who is this? This is a Ruby Riott.
Yes,
What
it is.
is a Ruby Riott?
Well, she is, to put it in a... She's like the inner Becky Lynch, I think is the best way of putting it. Only on the outside. She is very, as you can tell by the way she dresses and the tattoos that she has acquired, she is very counterculture. She marches to her own drum, I suppose. But at the same time, she is, she's been on the NXT roster. She hasn't even been around that long, but she's already collected the respect of the NXT audience, and she's already had an opportunity at Nikki Cross as well. And I'd argue she probably came the closest, excluding Peyton Royce, who managed to steal the championship away from Nikki Cross one time.
So all three women in this match have fought Nikki Cross at some point?
I think Nikki Cross and Mickie James fought in the first ever women's match on NXT and lost. Ember lost. Ruby lost. So yes. I'd have to double check the Mickie James one, but I'm pretty sure them two did fight.
So you gotta think in the mindset of Nikki Cross right now, which I could imagine may be kind of difficult to picture. This probably didn't seem like that big of a deal to her then.
But, well, I mean, maybe not. I mean, it was Cross who did ask for this. She did ask for, she didn't care how many it was. She even said, I don't care if it's 2, 3, or even 5, just give me a challenger. And she has been given that, but at the same time, multi-man matches have a tendency to cause new champions. In fact, it was a triple threat match in which Nikki Cross lost her NXT Women's Championship for the first time, and she wasn't involved in the final four. Lightning can strike twice.
Yeah, don't need to tell me. So, really, this match, she's more giving an opportunity to these women. She's also putting a major handicap on herself, rather than just taking one opponent. She chooses to take 3. I can't see the logic in that.
Well, welcome to the mind of Nikki Cross. That is the best way of putting it. She has no logic. She is Nikki Cross. She is out there. Is the nicest way I can put it. It's like,
yeah,
you know, Ruby Riott marches to the beat of a different drum. Nikki Cross beats herself over the head with a drum.
That's an oddly perfect comparison. Just from that alone, I can sort of see what you mean from this Nikki Cross fella.
Yep, she's a man.
Well, aside from that, Ember Moon going for the cover right here, but that was a 1 count, I believe.
You can count. You're making such progress. This is why we need you on NXT. Even you need developmental. Great work there by Ember Moon. This is why she's in NXT.
So, these ring ropes, right? They are yellow?
Yeah.
Nice. And the mat here, this is a black mat.
Yep.
All right. I think I can get a hold of this whole NXT deal.
Well done. You've making great strides already. Have you got used to the smaller crowds now? I mean, they're probably the same size as a Raw crowd, but still.
The last Raw show actually almost sold out, so I don't see
what 500 seats and two bales of hay.
Well, if you're talking about bales of hay, you better talk to Mickie James here, because she seems to be that sort of gal.
You literally asked a few minutes ago, what's a Mickie James, and now you're insulting her.
How am I insulting her?
Oh, you want to talk about bales of hay? Talk about this farmer chick.
How is that an insult?
I wouldn't be too happy if I was labeled that.
Why? Like, how is that? That's the most inoffensive thing to say to somebody.
I'm pretty sure hello, how are you is a pretty inoffensive thing to say to someone. And that's 1-0. It's going to be a long night for you. Mickie James planted Ruby Riot. Riot even getting contorted in the ropes. I assume those people in the front row are very much so enjoying that sight, you disgusting pigs. I don't blame you.
There's a kid in the front row.
Hey! It's never too young to start.
Oh my god. This NXT paycheck for myself
is minuscule compared to mine. I know.
Because all this is just more time that I'm spending with you.
I know. I mean, what more could you ask for?
Spending time with...
With no one? I mean, I know you have no friends, so there's no point.
Ember
here goes Ember Moon. Take flight!
Oh my god. Right into the barricade. Ruby Riot went.
Unlike on our brands where we have the protective barrier, that is just a barricade with some NXT logos on it. There is no protective there. You are colliding with pure steel.
That sounds counterintuitive. Is that the right word?
No.
Well, I'm just saying it doesn't make very much sense. That, I mean, considering they're ran by the same overarching company, like why wouldn't we give them better barricades?
You gotta get used to pain.
So then you can feel less of it later on.
Exactly.
But then it's a dumb thing to argue about, talk about.
You're desperate to argue with me. You're desperate to lose another argument.
No, I'm not. I'm not.
Come on, Hunt. Shh, now, this is a match. This isn't me and you time.
It's a good match.
And Bulldog right into Mickie James' fanny.
Fanny? What? Anyways, Ruby Riot sent outside of the ring.
Mickie James brings her in there.
That's what they call a neck breaker.
They cross the arm across the throat as well for the neck breaker. And Mickie James.
Good for Mickie James. Picking up a win.
Close down another victory.
You know, before this match started, I didn't know what a Mickie James was. Yeah. But now that I'm seeing,
girl, and now she's dabbing. Oh, she's got a dab on.
Yeah, taking a book out of vintage T.J. Perkins.
Yeah. I mean, he's only dabbed like I don't actually think I've seen him dab, but yeah. Him?
I've heard he backstage he tends to.
On the brand that you're not on, okay.
Can I just not go to ECW shows now? Wow. Wow. Larry Zybysko, the man who wards away fans from his show.
No, I ward away peasants like you. Anyway.
What?
Well, nothing. Moving on.
What?
I'm not here
No. What is an American Alpha? Who are these good-looking gentlemen?
Your future boyfriends, apparently.
Ready, willing, Gable. What is this?
Put emphasis on the gay, why don't you? Put even more emphasis on the gay, why don't you?
Ready, willing, Gable. What is this?
That's the joke, Dad.
This here?
Alright, well, if you'd shut up for a second, let me explain.
Yeah.
Chad Gable, Jason Jordan, American Alpha, #1 contenders for the NXT Tag Team titles. Tonight, Chad Gable is going to go in singles action against one half of the NXT Tag Team champions in Christopher Daniels. Now, I am going to have to tell you, when a certain graphic comes up, we can't say a word, because for whatever reason, the D.C.C have a tendency to cut out the audio. So prepare for that any second now. But anyway, this is... There's that graphic. Anyway, here's the D.C.C. Christopher Daniels' jacket, swallowing up half his title belt. Apparently it's a fashion thing.
How is he doing that?
He's magical. It's the D.C.C. They're mystical.
What does D.C.C. stand for?
Couldn't tell you.
All right.
It's just an acronym right now. It's just a just a name.
I swear this isn't to continue this little thing I'm doing for this episode of NXT, but who is Sabin and why should I be hailing him?
I talked about him earlier in the show.
Yeah. I'm more so that second part of the question.
I don't know. It's the D.C.C. thing. They're a leader. They're hierarchy. They're whatever you want to say about him. Dictator, maybe even. It's Chris Sabin, plain and simple. And he, since his time on NXT, since his change in character, since winning the NXT Championship some time ago, has tried to rule over NXT with force, I guess.
Well, that's certainly something. So we have... I can only imagine the two men in this NXT ring are very talented.
Well, yes, both are. Well, I mean, you've got kind of a more high-flying aspect from Christopher Daniels, and you've got this from Chad Gable. Crisp submission wrestling, armbar and a leg lock at the same time. And Christopher Daniels, though, being a veteran that he is, and he's still able to get out of it. Surprises me. With someone of the veteran-like status of Christopher Daniels, how he would fall for the mind games of Chris Sabin.
What do you mean by that?
Well, like he's been around for a while. He's been with other tag partners in this universe, but he went with Chris Sabin despite having kind of a hefty age advantage over him. But since joining Sabin, he's also found success in the way of NXT Tag Team titles. I don't get why he went to the D.C.C.
Well, you said it yourself. The man's been around for a minute and a half, so he probably knows a thing or two about these sort of banding together situations. And you're only getting older, so.
But it's more than just a banding together. Sabin treats this like Mordecai treats the Brood. This is like his following. It's like Bray Wyatt.
Yeah, I understand, and it's, as he said, he found success. Maybe he foresaw such a thing, you know?
Well, we'll never know, because the minds of Sabin and Bram are certainly focused on one thing usually, and that's hurting their opponent. Chad Gable right now looking for something. Great landing there by Christopher Daniels. And one half of the NXT Tag Team Champions made up to put this one away already. Angel's Wings!
So I'm assuming that's his killer right there.
Yes, that would be his killer. Jason Jordan cheering his partner on, and Gable able to kick out early. Because as I said, 2 weeks from now, these two men will meet. Well, these two teams even will meet at NXT TakeOver Brooklyn for the NXT Tag Team titles.
All right. What's Chad Gable looking for right here? That seemed.
I think this is a match that's more difficult for Gable than what it is Daniels. I think this one maybe one of, if not the first singles match I've seen Gable in. Certainly on NXT, it's his first singles match, and when you're so used to tag team wrestling, you may struggle against a veteran, especially like Daniels.
Well, one thing I can say so far about this Chad Gable fellow is that almost every move he's done so far is not a move I've seen prior to this match. So it's quite some innovative offense he's pulling off here.
Oh, face first into the turnbuckle though. Up to the top rope. Will he look for BME? Or is he just going up to the top rope? Nope, there's a splash. Hooks the leg.
He doesn't look like the type of fellow to go up to the top rope.
Oh, he's very agile.
Is he?
Very, very agile. I mean that.
Is he?
Gable now German suplex once more. Great. There's an example of it. Landing on his feet. Able to recover and rolls into a small package. Daniels perhaps trying to stop Gable from getting in the driver's seat, but Chad Gable's still going in this one.
Quite a show so far, I gotta say. I'm enjoying this match quite a bit. Might be match of the show, who knows? Nasty dropkick by Christopher Daniels.
There's the methods to the D.C.C. The underhanded tactics coming out. Trying to gain an advantage in any way, shape or form, but Daniels not going to focus on that right now. Koji clutch.
What? Never seen this move before. This is a Koji clutch, you say?
Yes, it is.
Looks painful.
I'm surprised you haven't seen it before. Some men have made it a very big part of their arsenal.
Interesting.
Gable, though, able to get out of it. He's still struggling, though, and I'm not surprised he's struggling. I mean, you know, this is not his speciality.
Hey, struggling, but the guy, when he's coming back, right into that exposed turnbuckle.
Oh, Daniels made him... Daniels kind of fooled us all day, a little bit.
Yeah, it's kind of weird how you would do such a thing and not fully
maybe
utilize
some mind games from the D.C.C, who knows. Gable, though, great work there, able to duck under that punch, and here comes the tag team partner, Bram. Finally, the manager's getting involved in this one. Daniels getting an advantage here, rolls him up from behind.
That's...
Snuck up on Gable with the cover, and he nicks one. That is smart. Underhanded, but smart. Victory goes to D.C.C. Victory goes to Christopher Daniels. Momentum goes on the side of the D.C.C. on the road to Brooklyn. But there is a difference between a singles match and a tag team match. And I think we'll see that evidently 2 weeks from now at NXT TakeOver Brooklyn. Let's see what more will continue on between the D.C.C. and American Alpha on the road to take over Brooklyn. We haven't got that long left before takeover, but it's okay. We'll continue on. Right, well, I mean, we got this far. And, you know, we've just moved on there. We'll see what's going to happen regarding the D.C.C. and American Alpha, as I said. I don't really know. It's a tag team match that, for a change in D.C.C. standards, has followed a bit more of a path of staying in the ring rather than actions that occur outside of it. But here comes the Perfect 10, Ty Dillinger. And oh boy, does he have an opponent to deal with.
This guy, Ty Dillinger, not too familiar, but I gotta say, I'm really digging him. The whole 10 thing, I'm kinda liking it, not gonna lie.
You like it when a man sticks his full set of fingers
in the yeah, I do.
Yeah. Okay.
Hey,
so is Bailey like your favorite women's wrestler on SmackDown? Because she basically does that.
Yeah, but she doesn't say 10 when she does it.
That's a fair point. Okay.
Yeah, that's kind of the whole selling point of this Ty Dillinger guy. He puts his hands in the air and he's like 10, 10, 10, and the fans and myself eat it up. Like, gosh.
I'm glad you eat it up. Ty Dillinger, who does nothing but eat up losses usually. And I've always wondered where he gets that from. That still confuses me.
I don't know.
I hope he's not walking to the ring with that in his back. It may hurt. But anyway, welcome to This Is a Premiere for Us All, apparently. The new, rejuvenated, and invigorated Broken Kings.
Broken Kings?
Yes. Broken Matt Hardy and the Macho Man Randy Savage.
That sounds...
This is already 10 times better than what I thought it was going to be.
Wait, what's all this smoke?
Look, I know about as much as you.
This is... Alright, then. I guess.
Oh, okay. I see how that works.
I have many questions.
Look, we can never provide the answers when it comes to Matt Hardy.
But...
Oh, by the way, you wanted to know what a Corin was. This is what Corin did to the Macho Man. He did this.
He did what? I don't know.
He put Macho Man in this state. Macho Man has gone from, you know, a respectable veteran to applauding a man who's coming towards the ring. Like, I don't know what.
I'm just... I'd hate for this to come off as bland to the audience, but how do I respond to this? I don't...
You don't.
I don't know.
You just watch. You take in the spectacle that we are witnessing right now.
What is he doing?
Look, he's broken. His mind is fragile.
He just kind of fell to one knee.
Okay, sometimes your brain can't work like that. Look, okay, some things scare him. Maybe the piano scares him. Maybe Ty Dillinger scares him. Maybe he scares himself. There are some things we are never destined to know in this world. And we did all of that, and it's Macho Man wrestling. But I'm glad all the camera went to Matt Hardy.
That was a swerve, I guess. I thought I was going to see Matt Hardy.
Oh no, this is all about Matt Hardy. This is his broken brilliance taking shape.
So that's why Macho Man is wrestling?
He's doing his business.
Huh.
And plus, the last few times we've seen Macho Man, it has been loss after loss after loss for him as well. So it's a chance for him to turn things around. But yes, this is a result of what happens when you get in the ring with Corin.
Well, then this Corin guy sounds like quite the weirdo.
Well, it's not weirdo, it's more he destroyed Macho Man in his debut and left him in this state.
Alright, that paints a very different picture for me then.
He has gone through a great many name, and the biggest example of them all is the man the match that he had at NXT TakeOver London against none other than Stone Cold Steve Austin. There's a super kick by Ty.
Oh my god. It was blocked for a minute, and then he went in for another one and got it in.
But Macho Man just slows down the pace right back to how he wants it.
So, the only comparison I can draw for these two men would be the Brood, but very odd.
I can't draw a comparison. I don't think there is a comparison. This is maybe I think maybe this is like the Wyatt family on meth.
Even better.
Well, there we go. Ty Dillinger already in a big spot of trouble. Macho Man going way up top. Fingers up in the air. And oh! Shove your 10 up your ass. There's the top rope elbow by the Macho Man. Will it put away Ty Dillinger? It won't. Matt Hardy won't best be pleased about that one.
So, this Matt Hardy guy, is there anything more to know about him?
We would love to know more. He is broken. That is the best words we can use to describe him.
So he just kind of walked in one day and like, hey.
I mean, well, he walked in. I'd like to point out that man on the outside is a former United States champion and a former WWE champion. And not only has he held both those titles, in both of those, he is one of the longest reigning champions there has ever been.
That man.
And he has become this.
Mr. Seizure onto one knee on both sides of the ring. It's
the broken mindset of Matt Hardy truly took over. That's all we can really say.
I shall roll with it.
And do not dare disagree with him, because you will pay for it.
Pay for it?
Yes. No, I mean pay for it in the aspect of you will be subjected to many a lecture by Matt Hardy, many a teaching, and perhaps a visit by someone who goes by the name of Senior Benjamin.
Senior Benjamin? That sounds very very greeting, very nice.
Oh, he's not.
I don't...
Well, what I would like to point out is the difference in Macho Man in this matchup. Matt Hardy has clearly, this new invigoration of the Broken Kings has clearly changed something, because Macho Man has been all over Ty Dillinger, He's used it like a plaything, and with a second elbow drop. This one, well, this one should hopefully be over.
You made a point when this match started that Macho Man was in a very similar position to Ty Dillinger, but in this match, they did not look like equals at all.
I think the broken brilliance has finally rubbed off onto Macho Man. And if this is the case, then the Broken Kings may finally have an aspect to them that can mount an attack for those NXT Tag Team titles. Maybe after Brooklyn, these will be your future #1 contenders. Too early to assume, of course, but always nice to try and make a guess.
Well, from the sort of confusing thing I saw just now, I got 2 words to respond to that. Ooh, yeah.
Please don't ever do that again.
I thought it sounded good in my head, so
keep it in your head next time. Thank you. Right, we're going to move on to The Rock. I mean, last time we saw The Rock, didn't go too well for him. He was laying out on the stage by Corin.
Oh.
He has a bit of a mean streak going for him, in case you couldn't tell. And now he may get laid out on the street by his opponent, Pentagon Jr. Oh boy, here we go.
Is there a reason for this? Or is this
Pentagon
sort of
Jr. is someone who he struggles to wait his turn. And I think also Pentagon Jr. is probably going to be a little bit, not maybe frustrated, maybe not fragile in the mind, but certainly annoyed in the mind. He's the #1 contender for Bret Hart's NXT Global Championship, but over these last few weeks he has been subject to attacks from behind, and it's Pentagon Jr.'s turn to launch the attack.
Well, then I guess I can see where he's coming from.
Pentagon Jr. became the #1 contender for that Global Championship last week, defeated Pete Dunne in what was a very entertaining contest, but he left his mark towards the end of the night as well. Bret Hart picked up a win, only to be jumped right after the match by Pentagon Jr., laid out in the middle of the ring, only adding fuel to the fire that is their matchup at TakeOver Brooklyn.
Alright, so what I'm getting from that is this Pentagon guy, even though his methods may be a little iffy, he sees something and he goes for it.
Yes.
I can respect that.
And he has seen an opportunity to go right after The Rock right now, and he is doing exactly that, drilling him with a backpack stunner.
Is that what they call that move? Huh.
Yes. And already it's not looking good for The Rock. Way up in the air. Down onto the knees of Pentagon Jr.
That was nasty.
And with the damage Pentagon Jr. can possess in those legs, it just only gets worse for The Rock, who's finally trying to get a fight back going.
Yeah, to come back after all those moves from The Rock, that's impressive.
The Rock's coming back from taking all those moves from The Rock?
Is that what I said?
Yes.
If it was, I did not mean to say that. But I think you get the gist of what I'm saying. The Rock, he took all these moves from not The Rock, but from Pentagon Jr. That's how you say it in Spanish. Yeah, and that's some endurance, you know?
Well, we'll see how much endurance he has left, because Pentagon Jr. is not like, well, I mean, you know, you see these people who see an opportunity and go for it, but they haven't really got much of, you know, offense towards them. They haven't really got a huge load of damage to them. That's the opposite for Pentagon Jr.
The Rock, I mean, still able to evade and going for a submission maneuver. Oh,
sharpshooter!
Right,
a little bit ironic considering Pentagon Jr.'s opponent at TakeOver Brooklyn.
Yeah. Oh,
into the ropes! His throat collided into those ropes.
Neck first. I don't know how I could laugh at that. It's probably really hurt.
Well, The Rock is still fighting on, and Pentagon Jr. is taking full advantage of that, going right to the head, and I would assume the neck at some point as well, of The Rock. Well, The Rock says no to that one. Counted.
Yeah, not many people can come back from like a attack pre-match and still do this good in a match, so I said match a lot there.
You did. Uh-oh. Rock is in trouble. Not only does Pentagon Jr. have that powerbomb to the knees, he has the top rope maneuver, but The Rock wants none of that. Rock bottom!
Oh, you can almost see Pentagon's head bounce off the turnbuckle a bit there.
Revenge for shoving his throat into the ropes. Cover now by The Rock. Can he put away Pentagon Jr. here? No, he can't. Pentagon Jr. kicked out with relative ease as well. It's quite an interesting match so far. It's wildly different from the first two we saw. I think this is supposed to be more of a tune-up for Pentagon Jr., but in turn it's turned into a tough contest against The Rock. There's the Swanton Bomb, though.
He's calling for something here.
Gave a general idea of what's coming up next. The Pentagon driver, Rock in trouble. Down on the neck. And the back. Crumbles into one, basically.
And that might be all for this one. We got a 1. We got a 2.
No. And oh, it's not.
That's surprising.
Well, The Rock showing his resiliency once more, I think is the best way of putting that.
Yeah, good for The Rock. I mean, for sure, this could only lead to better things, even if he comes to a loss here. Because you're seeing what he has to put out on the table.
But is there a time when bravery becomes stupidity, like you said? I mean, he can gain something from this, but he's not going to gain anything right now. And I wouldn't want to hang in there for a long time with Pentagon Jr. because the match just gets worse for you.
Couldn't say that any better myself. Because, yeah, while what I said is true, the longer he stays in here, the more his body is being tested and beat down and possibly even broken. Not to mention Matt Hardy.
Oh, there's a super kick. And the difference is in this aspect, Pentagon Jr. isn't someone who, you know, when he takes pain, he isn't someone who rolls around and cries about it. He enjoys the feeling of pain. It only makes him want to dish more out. As we saw there from the powerbomb on the knees, The Rock, though, still got some fight in him, somehow.
Very, very dangerous man this Pentagon is being made out to be for me.
Landed right on his legs. Beautiful landing for Pentagon Jr. And here we go once more. Pentagon driver. And The Rock just kind of slouching over there.
Yeah.
All kinds of tangled up in the ropes as well.
A normal Pentagon driver would do that to any man. But The Rock here is taking 2. But 2 is all it took because Pentagon Jr. is the winner of this match.
Well, a tune-up match that may not have gone the way he wanted it to, but nonetheless, Pentagon Jr. is your winner. Ahead of that NXT Global Championship match. And speaking of the NXT Global Championship match, here comes the Global Champion himself, Bret the Hitman Hart.
Huh, that seems weird for a champion to do.
Bret Hart has sunk to new lows on NXT, believe me.
Ah,
he will take any advantage possible, and especially you need one of a Pentagon Jr. Bret, that's one of his callings, the low blow to Pentagon Jr. It doesn't matter who you are, that's going to lay you out in a hurry. And look at how proud Bret is.
That's not nasty, that's just dirty. Why would anybody do that?
Bret Hart leaves the final message, or maybe not. More on the way from Bret. Repeated stomps, the global champion has totally lost it. Clearly that attack last week has driven him to new levels. Bret Hart wanted to get in the mind of Pentagon Jr. Is that the safest thing you can do? Is that the best thing to guarantee you're walking out of TakeOver the NXT Global Champion though? Ooh, I don't know. I don't know if it's in your best interest to want to pull off something like that.
3, 2, 1.
And just like that, it's main event time. The D.C.C. wait for no one.
That happened again.
And I am noticing something incredibly different here. The D.C.C., this group who are all banded together, and the cracks show right here. Sabin is out on his own. There is no Corin. He is not there. The camera's even looking for him as Sabin comes out by himself.
So this Corin guy, right? High tensions with him, and how at this point are they still considered a unit?
I don't know. That's the honest answer. I mean, apparently they are. If they are, it's definitely not working as we saw the other half of the D.C.C. work earlier in the night. This is a duo that have... Well, there he is. I don't know where he showed up from, but he's here. But this is a duo that are far, and I mean far, from ever going to be buddies with each other, especially in the short term.
Huh. So,
this, I mean, I'll have to explain it all right now. Sabin is fantasized with winning back that NXT Championship. He will do whatever it takes to crave that title once more. Even going as far as screwing over an opportunity from Corin. And I don't mean screwing over the opportunity as in, will you hand me that opportunity? I need that rematch. He went as far as to allegedly attack Corin backstage and fill in his spot against this man.
Huh.
Ultimately, it would end up backfiring on Sabin. Tanahashi would get the shot at the NXT Championship last week. But that didn't end all happy for Tanahashi, but it didn't end up all happy for Okada either. As the match ended up with both men being laid out by none other than Corin. That is why we are in the dilemma we are in, and that is why Zybysko had to act in the way that he did earlier tonight. And I will say something, it's a surprise to see Okada still standing here tonight, considering last week he was dumped on that apron with one of the stiffest powerbombs I think I've seen in some time from Corin.
Confusing but intriguing is the only thing that I can say after hearing that. And, well, this is, like, everybody seems to have reason to hate someone else here, you know? Especially no one more than this man, the NXT champion Okada. Because at the end of the day, all of these people, whether you're Corin or Chris or Tanahashi, you're a threat to the NXT championship.
In a way, Okada has is going to walk into Brooklyn with his back against the wall. He knows he's in a triple threat scenario, but which outcome will he receive? Will he receive the man he beat for that belt and retained it against the TakeOver London and Chris Sabin? Or will he have to face off as well against the undefeated and damn near unstoppable Corin? But regardless of that, he cannot count out Tanahashi, who took him to the limit last week on NXT.
Yeah, one thing to take note of is that whether it be Chris Sabin or Corin, they're going to be pretty beat up, because I can imagine they're going to give it their all against each other. So coming out of that, they're going to be pretty low stamina going into that triple threat, don't you think?
I think the way it may work is, obviously this match going to main event. I would assume to let those guys recover, that match will go on at the start.
Well, yeah, but depending on how you're hurt, where you're hurt, how long it'll hurt, a couple hours, an hour, isn't going to do it for you, you know?
Well, it just shows the fight that they have. I mean, they brought it upon themselves, is all I can really say. If they wanted to act in this fashion, well, so be it.
Yeah, I'm not discrediting what they're doing or what they want to do, whatever. I'm just saying, you know, it is what it is. I don't think that's going to stop them from giving it their all. But it kind of shows them off as sort of a wounded sheep of the triple threat.
Well, they want to go around trying to say NXT is their brand and their place, and certainly in the aspect of Sabin, Corin, in fact, saying last week this is his division, and Okada has his title. If they both want to prove that it is their NXT, then they should fight 2 matches in one night to prove that. There is no definitive way of giving it this triple threat opportunity, and in my opinion, it shouldn't be a fatal 4-way as well, because Sabin does not deserve the right to another match. He has to truly fight for it, and fight for it he will against Brooklyn, against his own protege, against the man he brought into this universe, against the man he may have even taught. So really, in a way, heading into Brooklyn, you could say advantage Sabin in that match.
I can agree with that. I can make waves with that. But nonetheless, here we have the D.C.C looking pretty dominant against, well, as I say that, Tanahashi sort of pulls in something and goes in for a tag with Okada, but at the time.
You can already see that Tanahashi and Okada are struggling to work as a cohesive unit right now, and here's a rematch from some time ago. Okada and Corin squared off in one-on-one action before NXT TakeOver London, and Corin secured on the night with no DCC interruptions, with no cheap shots either, a legitimate 1-2-3 victory over the NXT champion.
And possibly dumb question here, but at the time Okada was the NXT champion, right?
Correct.
Wow, major accomplishment for this man. Not too different from what we saw last Monday with Skrull beating the US champion.
See? There are similarities on this brand that you can pick apart. Covered right now on Corin. It wouldn't surprise me if Sabin deliberately sabotaged this match, in a way. Sabin has resorted to incredible underhanded tactics to try and gain advantage. As I talked about, attacking Corin backstage, allegedly, a few weeks ago to try and get himself that NXT Championship opportunity. He has resorted to hiding behind his DCC to make sure an opponent couldn't get to him. He resorts to these kind of tactics, and it wouldn't surprise me if he tried to do the same here tonight against Corin. Try and screw over that undefeated streak that he has, which of course Sabin does not.
Yeah, I could see that, but at the same time, Sabin, as far as being a competitor on NXT, what is he really getting out of another loss in his book? Because causing a loss for Corin, also causing a loss for him.
Does it matter to him, though? If he is not involved in the final pinfall or submission, does it make a difference to him? He is getting in the mind of his protege. He has already secured his matchup TakeOver Brooklyn. It's not like he has to fight to get that far. He can now really take it easy over these next 2 weeks, which is something that Corin's certainly not right now, as Tanahashi gets tagged in. Here is the outlandish offense. Planting Tanahashi down, and there's a tag. Well, they're currently working together.
Yeah, we're not arguing, but we're talking over this, commentating, and so far, that seems to be a really big hypothetical.
For whatever reason, they're playing buddy-buddy right now, but that may be an on-the-surface thing. I mean, well, we are seeing more frequent tags up between Tanahashi and Okada, and clearly the respect these two men have had from their days over in NJPW certainly going to make a difference in that one.
Yeah, they seem like a cohesive unit. If you told me these two men were in the tag division, I'd believe you.
Look at that. You can see both men operating their own diving fist drops. Corin had his earlier. Sabin going for his, trying to do like a... It is almost like a one-upsmanship there. Like in anything you can do, I can do better. Except they're not breaking out into song and dance. They're more breaking out into kicks and punches.
I gotta admit, song and dance would be pretty entertaining.
I mean, I don't think Sabin or Corin are going to do song and dance. Just a hunch.
I can assume, but I just said it would sound nice.
Continuing on with this matchup now.
I can imagine Corin has a very good baritone.
I mean, you can assume that all you want. That is not what we're here to discuss.
But
here is a match that is a rivalry that is engulfed NXT.
Okada on the inside, Sabin up top.
Can I make my point, you gypstick? A rivalry that has engulfed NXT for some time. It has gone on for, well, it's left a legacy behind it. The main event of the first two takeovers in this NXT, and potentially could have a part to play in the third takeover. There's a step up in Zaguri by Chris Sabin, and could he be on his way to securing a major win over the NXT champion? No, it's not going to be. In the corner, tag made. Tanahashi to the rescue, and flying crossbody. Sabin was on the cusp there of perhaps nailing that cradle shock, but it was not to be. Cover here.
Hey, I'm back.
You never went, I don't know what you're on about, you just went silent. You just got distracted by something, but Tanahashi anyway could have closed in on a victory. Sabin was on the verge of closing in on the victory as well, and now Sabin and Tanahashi going at it. Great dodge there by Chris Sabin, but he can't capitalize. I think he wanted to make the tag there. He was venturing over towards that turnbuckle,
but it was in vain. But
there's a crossbody, dropping him down. And there's a great opportunity here for Sabin perhaps to make the tag that he wanted to make into Corin. He's going to go for it. Oh, it's the other way around. Mind games being played on Sabin.
Well, you just sold it to me for about 10 minutes that the other thing would happen. So I'm kind of shocked. Gonna be honest with you.
Corin has just walked out on his own, on his leader. On the man who brought him into this.
Is that sort of his stepping away from the D.C.C?
It's an almighty resignation if I've ever seen one. And Sabin must now live this 2-on-1.
Quite a humiliating loss.
Daniels and Bram can't get involved because that's the disqualification.
Yeah.
And I don't think Corin's going to be coming back out here, and I don't think Tanahashi and Okada are going to step down from the apron as well. But Sabin still fights on. The former NXT champion giving it his all, going to go for the cradle shock here. No, Tanahashi gets the counter.
Yeah. Could you... Well, now, imagine if Chris Sabin can pick up a win from this. That's pretty big.
Oh, I think his back is up against the wall here. I think he is up against the wall, and I think the firing squad is loading up and ready to shoot at their target.
I agree, but I mean, it's always a thought in their mind. We didn't think Corin would be doing what he just did, and it happened, so anything can and will happen.
Sabin continuing to be stubborn enough to fight here, trying to prove Corin wrong. But that is how you gain an advantage heading into Brooklyn. You've just left him to the Wolves. You've left him to the men who are guaranteed in the main event.
So this sort of... You mentioned earlier Corin with this streak going for a tombstone pile driver. So does Corin... Is he giving up what he had?
I don't know. I mean, he can probably still boast the fact that he's never been pinned, but... That's totally different. Rainmaker!
Rainmaker!
Oh, that is not all. They are making sure they deliver the ultimate humiliation to Sabin. Tanahashi with the frog splash.
That is what they call in the business adding insult to injury.
And the cover on Sabin, but Sabin still kicks out.
Oh.
How? He is just desperate to try and prove to Corin that he is better than him. He is desperate to try and prove to everyone that he is the best. But Tanahashi putting him in his place again. Rotating in the air at that frog splash. And with 1, 2, and 3. Wow. That will end that.
Final act of fight of defiance by Chris Sabin, ultimately in vain when he gets hit with the third finishing maneuver. That's all she wrote. Has that potentially, even his attempt to fight on there, cost Chris Sabin somewhat heading into Brooklyn? Does he head in now 2 weeks with a weaker mindset than when we expected? Or is his mindset filled right now with rage and desire for revenge against the man who walked out on him in this matchup? Well, we'll just have to see. I mean, this could be many things going through the mind of Sabin right now, but one thing is for sure. Corin has made his decision.
Certainly seems the D.C.C, well, Corin at least, walks to his own... Walks to himself. He wants no one around him. He desires no one to be with him, and I have just received huge news. Next week on NXT, we are on our way for a double main event. First things first, we'll be having a match that was supposed to take place weeks ago, but we're finally going to get it. Hiroshi, Tanahashi, and Corin will square off one-on-one on the road to Brooklyn. That is a matchup that can make or break, really. Tanahashi's ability to go into TakeOver, and the same could be said for Corin as well, as he may have to deal with 2 matches in the same night. But then again, the main event, as I said during the match, one of the biggest rivalries in the history of NXT. In fact, I will go as far as saying the biggest rivalry comes to fruition in the main event. Sabin and Okada, one-on-one. This is an NXT you do not want to miss next week. Just one away from NXT TakeOver Brooklyn. Be sure to tune in for this one. That will end a huge episode of NXT. Thank you guys for watching. Take care, guys, and ta-ra.